Hello and welcome to a Live with Amanda. Today we're going to be talking about how to purchase your first commercial real estate property. So, this year I purchased my first real estate property for my private practice. I wasn't even looking for it. A lot of opportunities just come to me, which I feel so grateful about that I wasn't looking for it. It just kind of like landed on my lap. A colleague of mine was in a building. She needed to get out of this building for a variety of reasons. She was looking for a larger space, blah, 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 blah. And we were talking and Caring Therapist was looking for space in that area. And she's like, would you like to take over my lease? I'm like, yeah, that could definitely work out. And then it turned out that the landlord was actually selling this space. So not only could we take over the lease, or we would take over the lease, then we would be the first people that would be able to purchase this, office condo. And it worked out, right? Like we put in an offer, they accepted our offer. We did all of the steps that were required in order to get this building. And here we are owning a 5 office suite, and we're in Coral Springs. And so that's how that came about. So I wasn't looking for it, but if you are looking for it, I would recommend that you work with a commercial real estate agent. There are differences of people who work with residential versus commercial. There are just some nuances that come along with commercial deals, especially if you're working with the SBA. So we did our loan through Truist Bank and the SBA. And the SBA, if you're familiar with them at all, they have a lot of requirements. I think in some ways the requirements are great because, for instance, one thing that they required was proof of insurance from the condo association. The condo association, in our instance, was in the process of getting their insurance, but first they had to replace the roof. Great. Like I was getting a building that had a brand new roof, like, an office space that had a brand new roof. Like if they didn't have that brand new roof and I purchased into this building, I may have been assessed for that new roof. And there also needed an elevator, right? So I would have been assessed for that. I needed to know that, right? Like we discussed that, we talked about it, but our commercial real estate attorney, like they will also walk you through some of those requirements, what the process might look like. Our process was extended because of the insurance. And so we had to send additional deposits. We had to have new purchase agreements. We had to have new lease agreements. There was a lot of moving parts that came along. And if I didn't have a team of people that were willing to help me, it would have been, I think, a little bit difficult. And so if you're going to look into the SBA, make sure you have all your ducks in a row. They're going to want your personal financials. They're going to want your business financials. They're going to want a business plan, a financial plan. Like we had to create a financial plan for them with projections. So we had to know how to project how much income was this particular office was going to make, how many people we were going to hire, what types of people we were going to hire, what the demographics look like. You needed things like a business tax receipt or an occupational license, called things in different places. We had to have a lease. Actually, our practice didn't buy it. We created a separate LLC of a real estate company. So our real estate company bought the building and we're leasing it now to Caring Therapists, the mental health practice. And we used a lawyer for that. We used a title company to do the closing. And so obviously these are things that come along when you purchase either commercial or residential. But again, having a really solid team of people. So if you don't already have a relationship with your bank, I would start that relationship with them if you're thinking of purchasing a place. You want to make sure you can afford the place, right? You can afford the monthly payments, you can afford the taxes, you can afford the insurance, you can afford any things that happen to your building. Like now, like already we've been in the building, we've owned it for about 5 months. Like we had a plumbing issue and we had to pay for it, right? Like that's different than like calling like the landlord and being like, hey, this thing broke, or, the HVAC isn't working, or this isn't working, or that isn't working, right? We're responsible. So making sure that you can afford all of the bills and then afford the things that do come up when you own a place. It's just like when you purchase a house, like, right? Like you can't just afford the monthly payments. You also have to, like, if your roof is old, you have to prepare for the roof. Like that is, if anybody wants to know my husband's anxieties, it's like that our roof goes in our house. And like we just got a new air conditioning, right? So that was like his other worst nightmare. And right before it died and we were without air for like weeks or whatever it takes to get a new AC, we replaced our AC. But we have to plan for those things when it comes to owning our own commercial real estate. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole in our home repairs, but it's the same thing. Like when you're running a business outside of your commercial real estate property, you can't let the air conditioning go. You can't let the plumbing go. You can't let certain things go. And you have to make sure that it is like ready for your clients to be there. And so making sure, yes, that you have prepared for it financially and that you have people in place. You have an HVAC tech, you have a plumber you can call, you have maybe a handyman, somebody that can really help you run this, this business that you are. So you're really sort of like running two businesses now. You're running the real estate company and you're running your mental health counseling practice. And so that was advice that I got very early on, was to create a separate LLC for any commercial real estate property. So I'm going to talk about how to find commercial real estate property. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, TherapyNotes. It was very easy for us to add a new location to our TherapyNotes account, to add new clinicians, to bill our insurance through there, and really keep up to date with everything that we have, especially having multiple locations. We have 8 locations now. Everything is very organized. I can see revenue by locations, by CPT codes, by therapists. I highly recommend that you check out TherapyNotes. So there's a couple of ways that you can find commercial real estate. We use a website called LoopNet. We will go on, we'll look, we'll see what's out there. We'll see what areas actually sell, because some places never sell because they're owned by one person. Like some of the leases that we're at, the whole building, like at 20 offices, is owned by one person. Other like places that we're at, each location is owned by one person, or, there's a variety of ways that commercial real estate is sold. So staying up to date on LoopNet, having a commercial real estate agent, very important, and knowing people maybe that have some information. Like I knew this therapist who was in an office and she knew I was looking. So we were kind of talking about this. So talking to your contacts, talking to people, maybe finding connections in the commercial real estate space, so that when you are ready, these opportunities come for you and you are going to have all your documents for the SBA, all your documents for the title company, all your financials ready to go. You know how to make projections for offices, and you will be ready for your commercial real estate property, which I think is really, really cool. I never thought in South Florida that we would own a property, and we're getting ready to purchase our second one. And it is really like, that part is like beyond my wildest dreams. So I hope that this inspires you to purchase your building if you can. I'll see you soon, everybody. Bye.